Welcome to
Hi.
lunchtime with Beauty and the Beard. This is the Life Unfiltered podcast. I am Ashley DeWeese. This is my incredibly amazing, handsome, young, all the things bearded beau, Justin DeWeese.
Hi.
And here we are, ready to give you another whiz bang wow episode of our life unfiltered. And again, today of truly unfiltered, this is a first on the pod that we are eating. Why? Because not because I want to. I don't really like to eat in front of other people. Do you?
I don't care.
I figured that would be your response.
Well, I mean, being in corporate America for 30 years, you do a lot of dinners and whatnot, right? So, and a lot of
Yeah.
those, like you're not just eating dinner, like you're listening to a sales pitch or whatever. So, kind of got to get over any of that sort of stuff real quick.
I have like levels, right? Like I can eat amidst other people if like lots of different stuff's going on and whatever. Um,
Sure.
it's when I don't know. I just feel like there would be more eyes on me as I'm eating. I don't like it. I also don't like to hear sounds of other people. So, like people that love videos online where people are eating and you can like hear like the crunch and the this or that.
Yeah, that
Like,
shit's weird.
right. But I'm like just wondering if now I'm like, oh man, like as we're eating, are people going to be able to hear like our eating sounds?
Probably not unless you get right up in the microphone while you're
Well,
chewing like
I
that.
I hope not because I don't like it.
But maybe they do. Maybe we got a bunch of
Maybe,
weirdos that listen to us and
maybe. Speaking of weirdos. I've never told the dunk tank story.
oh boy. We
I
haven't?
don't think so. We don't need to do that today, but
Oh, okay.
I
Well, I
don't
mean,
think we
way
have.
to set it up, and then that's a cliffhanger in the showbiz biz gang. So you're gonna have
We
to
just
come
have to
back
keep
for a
coming
future
back.
episode to
Hmm.
hear the dunk tank escapade.
And by the way, sorry, not sorry, but I'm like super hungry. So if it looks like I'm just like speed racing through my lunch, I am.
I mean, it happens sometimes.
It does. Um, well, also after teaching for 14 years, you learn how to eat fast.
Well, like that's we've seen that with Ayla, right? Like from eating lunch at school every day.
Yep.
Like she eats like she's in prison and someone's gonna steal her piece of bread. Like we sit down and it's like, and she's done looking at the rest of us like,
Mm-hmm.
we doing this all night or what are we doing here?
For sure. For sure. Or like at restaurants. I mean, Dax too. They both usually finish before us, but definitely her. And she'll be like, "Oh, are we ready to go?" No, like I've had two bites of my meal.
Yeah, and they really hate restaurant experiences where we need for them to bring us the check because yeah, when they're done eating, man, hey, oh,
Right,
look at
they're
that, time to go home.
yeah, like they're ready to go. We probably well, not even spoiled because like don't most parents like order their kids food first when they're little?
I don't know. I never considered that a possibility until we came across it wherever we came across it. But
What
yeah,
to
we had the
order?
idea when they were like young of we'd go out to Taco Lucha here in town, for example, and we'd get our tacos and we'd get their quesadillas and we'd say, "Hey, can you have those quesadillas out first?" Or we'd order their food and then
Right.
order our food
Mhm.
later. So that way they could be eating instead of just sitting there getting all
Right.
rambunctious like toddlers do.
So then there was like this little transition where that's not the way we ordered for them. We just ordered all together and they didn't like that. And then they learned the whole like out first. I would order like a salad out first. Because I've learned sometimes if I'm super hungry, like I'll order something like that so I can have it out first, kind of, turn my hangriness off before I get the main meal. And they're like, out first? Like, Can I just order my burger out first? No, you
It
can't
doesn't
order
work like
your
that.
main meal out first, sillies. What do you want to talk about today? Anything on your mind?
Well, I got lots of things on my mind,
Same,
always and
bro.
forever.
Same. Same, bro. Same.
Went to the dump this morning, and I'll just say, perhaps that's a sign of me maturing that I actually took a load of crap to the dump instead of, finding a construction dumpster or some other way of disposing of. Because our dishwasher, oh, look, it's the usual episode. Ashley's got to clean out her nose. Um, our
Been raining
dishwasher
all
went
morning, by the
out.
way.
Our dishwasher
Ooh,
went
yeah.
out,
Uh-huh.
and we replaced it. I installed it all myself. So,
Hey, I'll take things you don't want to spend your money on for 1,000, Alex.
what's that?
Dishwashers.
Oh, sure.
Like nobody wakes up and like, I'll be honest. I do like picking out appliances. I mean, as you get older, I don't know what curse or spell goes over you, but like I do love me purchasing some new appliances if that was in the plan. Or if someone's like, hey, here's 20,000 bucks. Go make your heart happy and you buy whatever appliances you want. Like that's flipping fun. Like they're like appliances have come a long way over the years. Like there's some really cool stuff out there. So like I enjoy the picking out of the appliances, but like no one wakes up and is like, if I were gonna spend 800 or $1,000 today, what would I spend it on? Ooh, I want to go buy a dishwasher. Like no one wakes up and says that.
Yeah. So, anyway, ours went out. I installed the new one. We had to get rid of the old one. And so I took it to the dump. So that was exciting because the dump is a pleasant smelling place.
Yeah. Super fun. Super interesting to talk about too.
Well, so I'm just saying, like, I've matured a lot this week. Installed a household appliance, disposed of it properly. I mean,
Well, you know, I too think that's part of the personal growth process, and not everybody is growing as individuals, as we've discussed. Um, because I think in some of my conversations this week with friends and clients and business partners and whatnot, a lot of things came back to this, being at a place in life and with yourself. And like I said, this is typically more prevalent with growth-minded people, where you're just you're ready to be just your authentic self, like 100% of the
sure.
time, right? Like just over putting on masks, facades, and I say like over it. Not everyone though is ready to like step into it. I think what I'm finding in a lot of conversations is people in my circles, like they're over it, but some are still struggling with actually implementing it in their
Sure.
life. But I've thought at different times for myself personally in some transitions and things that are going on. Uh, and also for my clients, like, do you ever really recognize, like, listeners, like, have you ever paused to think where in your life you aren't showing up authentically and how that is holding you back from the kind of person you want to be and the kind of life you actually want to be living? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I do.
people spend so much time, again, been a party to this as well, getting concerned with what other people want them to do, how other people want them to live life, um, what will be accepted, what will not be accepted, what will rock the boat, what will not rock the boat, and then making decisions accordingly. And as a byproduct, end up waking up at some point in their life realizing like I'm not fulfilled and happy because I've spent my life trying to mold myself and my choices into what I thought other people wanted so that I could fit in with them and like be a part of. And I just, the more and more that we're just around people who are pursuing more in their lives, who are pursuing self-betterment and leveling up and growth and all the things, I just sit back and go, man, because I get the privilege of being a part of a lot of real and raw conversations.
Sure.
And I sit sometimes just in observation and think to myself, man, like if people just spoke more openly like this all of the time, how much better would people's lives be? I mean, I don't mean better by way of like eliminating problems or struggles or whatever, but just better in the sense that they could feel like they could show up truly as themselves and be vulnerable and speak openly about what's really going on in life or what's really going on in themselves internally. And yet at the same time, you know that that's not typical. That's not what's happening. But it's like I sit and listen to these conversations and I'm like, oh my gosh, like there's so many people out there that like have these same struggles, have these same things going on, and they convince themselves that like they're like the only one or they're part of a small percentage of people that do. And when the truth of the matter is like a lot of the shit people are thinking and going through, there's a whole lot of other people who are thinking and going through the same stuff. And how
Right.
much more powerful would we be if we were able to connect over that instead of spending so much time and energy trying to hide it?
Well, I think I've got a lot of thoughts on this one actually. Um, so I think part of the problem is a general lack of communication skills in people, right?
Mhm.
Because if you don't have strong communication skills, and part of that is, knowing and understanding your audience and communicating in a way that's beneficial to both parties, you could be real and authentically yourself and it go poorly because
Sure,
of the delivery, right? And
sure.
so,
Well, there's risk.
well, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, there's always risk. Like, if I were just to say, I'm scared of the dark, right? There's risk in people,
Laughing
internal
at that.
risk of me thinking, oh man, people are going to judge me for that, right?
Right. Mhm.
But what I'm talking about is, and I can't even like demonstrate this properly, but saying I'm afraid of the dark in such a way that it negatively lands with you
Right.
outside of judging me. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And so then it sort of becomes like this self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Because if I don't have good communication skills and I try to be authentically myself and I go around just pissing off and offending people with my
Right.
delivery, my tone, whatever, that message I get back then is, hey, you can't do that. Don't be authentically yourself all the time, sort of thing. So
That makes sense.
there's that. Um, Ironically, I don't know, that's probably not the right word, but I was listening to a podcast this morning. Theo Vaughn,
I love that guy.
he's the dumbest genius on the planet.
I could agree with
If
that.
that makes sense. Like some of the stuff he says is just anyway.
You
He
know,
was
he was
in
the original cast member of one of the Real Worlds, right?
right.
Did you know that?
I I mean I didn't until you told me about it like a year and a half ago or whatever, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
Because I
indeed,
watched it and I'm like
of
so stoked.
course
I
you
don't even,
did.
well, I just think it's so cool that he's become who he's become and does what he does. Like I
Right.
wouldn't have guessed it from that.
But he was talking to Dr. Tara Swart. She's a neuroscientist, psychiatrist, performance type person. She wrote the book, The Source. and they were talking about a whole bunch of things. And anyway, they got to the topic of, she told a story how she left her flat in London, was standing outside waiting for a taxi, and a lady walked by, and she saw out of the corner of the eye that the lady turned back to her and said, "Hey, are you Dr. Swart?" And she's like, "Yes." And she said, "I want you to know that you saved my life." And she told her how specifically something she had said saved her life. And she said that that's one of the coolest things about what she does, which is, write books and do podcasts and yada yada yada, because people come up to her and say, "Hey, something you said changed my
Yeah.
life." And then Theo said, "What's even more amazing is the number of times that someone will come up and say something like that. I won't remember saying it, but I need to hear it in that moment."
Mm.
And it's
Something
just
he said that he didn't remember saying, but what they share with them they
that
caught,
he had said it impacted their life.
it now was timely for.
Right.
Mhm.
Anyway, that got me to thinking about what we're doing here, right? Sharing the things that we've learned, loved, hated, whatever with people. And there are going to be people that listen to this and can end up getting that same sort of impact. But
Mhm.
if we held back on here and didn't, you know, unfilter it, like we'd miss out on some of those opportunities. And we may not even know about any of those opportunities, but they're no doubt happening.
Well, and it's just part of, you know, as humans, I think our default, just for simple terms, is to underestimate the value that we hold, right?
Sure.
And that's probably has a lot to do with just programming, like because we get taught growing up via society, via people that we're around. I mean, everything that we believe and think, we have been programmed to believe and think,
Right.
you know? And so this idea of believing that I hold enough value in myself that that could actually be helpful to someone else, and helpful by way of like just literally showing up and like being who I am, being open, being honest, speaking freely, that kind of thing. Like that, like when you think about it in and of itself, how valuable is that? Just to have people in your life that are willing to show up and be vulnerable and have open conversations and ask questions and share their own stories and experiences. Like nothing that came out of my mouth right now said anything about certifications or schooling or
Right.
training. And yet we're programmed in society to believe this is something that I was hung up on for a really long time and still have some hangups around, but not near what I used to. But like I think we're programmed to believe that in order to hold value and worth in the lives of other people, it requires us to become something more than who we are already, right?
Right.
And I don't mean that it's not valuable for us to gain more skills and to acquire more knowledge. I'm not saying that, but I'm just trying to get at the idea that like so many people think that unless they make a certain level of money, unless they have a certain amount of notoriety, unless they are married to a certain kind of person, unless they hold a certain level of job. You see what I'm saying? Like we believe this idea that unless this thing is attached to us, like that's the value. Like how could just me showing up authentically as me be the value? Does that make sense?
Yep. Hold on. Dog's about to lose its mind.
Okay, intermission. No, but I find that that struggles there a lot. We're looking so often externally for what external thing will make me valuable in the lives of other people.
Right.
And yes, there are, like I said, there are certainly external things that I could continue to acquire to help me become more valuable. But what I'm trying to say here is I would love for more people to recognize the value you hold in literally just being.
Right.
And like I said, being willing to just show up as who you are and say the things and ask the questions, because literally, like, you could step into a conversation with anybody about anything, and some comment that you make, some insight that you provide, some perspective that you share could be completely life changing for the people that you're talking with that day,
Right.
simply because you were just you.
Right. So here's a fun real life example of that. And it's not necessarily life impacting, but last weekend, as we were shopping for our dishwasher at Nebraska Furniture Mart, we're looking at all the models and, comparing da 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 da. And I'm standing
Of
there,
course, extroverted Ernie over here.
and across the aisle, I hear a lady talking to the salesperson, and the salesperson's like, "Well, this one operates at 55 decibels." And the lady goes, "I don't know what that means. Like, I don't know what our current dishwasher runs at." And I
And
said,
then I turn around, and all of a sudden I turn around and look, and my husband's like balls deep in a conversation with this sales lady and this other lady, and we know neither of them.
"No." But I had some value to provide because we'd been looking at dishwashers, and obviously, like the way our house is laid out, it's important that our dishwasher be quiet. And so, you see all those numbers, and I'm like, I don't know what a decibel is. So I looked it up, and I downloaded a little decibel reading app on my phone to figure things out. But anyway, I told this lady, I go, hey, just as an example, I said, our dryer is like 12 years old. So it's not like a new model with all the bells and whistles and whatnot. I said, but when it's running, it's at 57 decibels. Like that's the sound level that it's producing. And she goes, oh, that really helps. Thank you. And even the sales lady, after that lady kind of walked off a little bit, the sales lady's like, thank you. That's a really good example. I'll be able to use that to help other people understand the sound level. And again, like that's not life impactful.
I mean, it is and it isn't, right?
Well,
Because
I
I
mean,
mean,
it's not going to
it
change the course of her life, right? But
probably
it helped
not
her out in that moment.
in that scenario, in that moment, right? And you could have just as likely have chosen to just not share that information because you're like, I'm not married to that lady. This has nothing to do with me. Like, I don't there was no need for you to like offer that up.
Right. I could have taken the Ashley route, but I took the Justin route and said, no, I'm talking to strangers today. And then the sales lady and I bonded a little bit over the fact that I used to work at Sears. She used to work at Montgomery Ward's. You know, we chopped
And
things
all
up
I
a little
wanted to
bit.
do was like select a freaking dishwasher, pay for it, and get out of there and forget that I just had to drop, $800 on a new dishwasher. But yes, like, yeah, I don't really know how we got here, but I don't know, just people being authentic and who you are. Anyways, you get to a point in life where you're kind of like, I'm just tired of playing the games. I'm over it. And I've been having that impress upon my heart like more and more in recent days and weeks of like, it's one of those things where it's kind of like, if not now, when?
Sure.
Like if not, like why is now not the time to just completely take the filter off? Like truly take the filter off, right? Like say and again, like with tact and not being a total like mean person a-hole. But I'm just saying, like in life, like why is now not the time just to, you know what? This is this is the decision that we want to make. And is it going to ruffle some feathers? Maybe, but it's okay if it does because this is the decision that we want to make. Um, you know, we've talked about the new partnership that we have, on top of our own coaching business, we've partnered with a new wellness company. And, I've sat and talked with myself about the fact that like when we started our previous partnership with a different company 10 years ago, uh, there came some things with that of like, oh, what do people think when I talk about this? And how do they perceive me? And how do they judge me? And maybe I won't speak as openly about the business opportunity part of it as I do the product part of it. And how do, there's just all of these things. And of course, I've grown a lot over these 10 years
Right.
to where that was less and less of a thing. But I was thinking about it recently of like, how this aligns with us and how I ultimately want to share and whatnot. And I'm like, if not now, when? Like, why? I don't care anymore, right? Like, if I want to show up and talk about this new memory and focus product we're using and this new product that helps, you breathe better and this new product that helps my gut digest things better, like I'm not going to be concerned whether people are like, oh my gosh, you're talking too much about this, or oh my gosh, like I don't think that what you're talking about actually works. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, right? If I'm showing up and speaking about the things that I believe in, if I'm showing up and sharing and talking about the things that I believe in, the things that have been helpful to me from a place where I'm just truly trying to like share what I believe in, what I know has been helpful to me in hopes that it could help somebody else, right? Like if that's the place that I'm coming from and that's what I'm doing and as a part of that, like there's money attached to that because people get all weird about like, oh, like well, of course you're sharing this because you can make money off of it. Or of course you're selling your coaching programs because you can make money of it. Welcome to life. Like
Right.
that's how the game works, right? But when did it become a bad thing to like earn income by helping people solve their problems, which is what we're doing with our coaching programs, which is what we're doing with this wellness company that we've partnered with. But my point in that is like, it's just been on my heart more and more lately. It first started with this kind of just recent thoughts and growth with my coaching business and communities and programs. And then now with the new partnership, I'm just kind of like, why would I continue to like even think twice about sharing, saying, offering to help people? Like, why would I do that? Because, you know, that's truly who I am. And if that's truly who I am and what I believe in, like people should want me showing up and speaking and sharing more of that. Whether they like what I'm saying, don't like what I'm saying, whether they want to be a part of what I'm doing or not what I'm doing, like they should appreciate and respect the fact that I'm showing up and talking about things that are meaningful to me, that have been helpful to me, and that I'm sharing in hopes that it could potentially be helpful to someone else.
Yeah.
Like
I
we should
completely agree
want
with you.
more people doing more of that. We should want that.
Right.
Unfortunately, society kind of tries to poo-poo on that.
Well, and I think that comes from a place of, well, I can't do that. I'm envious or whatever.
Sure.
So that's
It's
why I throw the shade,
multi-layered
right?
onion.
Because
Right.
ultimately, like, we all appreciate the help that we get, right?
Right.
Maybe not as verbally or outwardly as we should, but like everybody appreciates getting help.
Right.
And so it's not, oh, I can't believe she's saying that because she's trying to help me. I hate that. How dare
Right.
she
It's
try
just
to help me?
potentially what it brings up in a person.
Right. Right. It's all their thoughts about it, right? And I mean, their beliefs about money and their beliefs about this and
Right.
whatever.
Well, and
So,
that's where too, like what I'm getting at as well. And if you're kind of lost in what's her freaking point? My point is really trying to encourage you that are listening to just show up more as the real you and who you are and what you want. Why are you grinning?
because this is truly an insight into our life, because you were like, I'm sure you're just sitting there going, what's her freaking point? And yeah,
Right. You
man, I'm
right.
doing that all the time. I'm like, she's over here, and I'm like, Is there a point? So are we getting somewhere with
Right.
this?
And I have developed a level of self-awareness where I understand that some people listen to me and they may at times be going like, what's her freaking point? So I have pivoted
No,
or
I
I have adapted to be able to pause and be like, in case you're lost, let me clarify.
right. No,
Let me
I
bottom line
appreciate
it
it.
for you.
Right.
But yeah, I'm just encouraging you to show up as your authentic self and spend less time worrying about what other people are thinking of you because let's be honest, most people aren't really thinking about you because
Right.
they're worried about what you're thinking of them. And they are projecting things onto you so that they don't have to face like their own insecurities. Right.
Right.
And so it's like, what do you have? What do you have to lose? Like, because you're losing either way. It's kind of like when we talk about like the whole choose your hard, which I hate that phrase, but I like the concept. But it's like, what do you have to like you either, oh well, if I show up and I like start talking about this new venture I have or this new path I'm going down or the way that I'm changing things, like I could risk like people in my life being upset with me or some people not wanting to be friends with me anymore or my parents like looking down on me or right? Okay, you could and you could consider that a loss, but at the same time, aren't you already losing because you are keeping yourself from being truly happy and fulfilled, right? So it's a
Right.
loss either single way. So do you want to go through life trying not to lose in the eyes of other people and make them happier in their life by you not shining your light and you not being there? Or do you like want to go through life being like living your life and making choices that are aligned with that makes you happy and makes you fulfilled? And if people are aligned with that and want to come along, great. And if they don't, like that's on them. It actually doesn't have anything to do. I mean, because that's the thing, like you were saying, like that's other people's hangups and perceptions of how you're conducting yourself,
Right.
right? Like
Yep.
if someone wants to decide that because I am partnering with a company that, has a memory and focus drink and I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to say like, hey, you should try this. It might help you, if you're struggling with X, Y, and Z, like this can help you. Like if there's people out there that are like, ooh, she's just trying to make money off people, or like, ooh, that's part of like a network marketing thing or whatever. Like I don't have any control over that. So the
Right.
only thing, if I give in to that, the only thing that that does is actually hinder me and my family and my goals and my dreams.
Yep. Big facts.
And that, as always, this is applicable to anything and everything because these same hangups that I'm talking about, like my clients, they get hung up on knowing what choices they want to make to help them feel and look and live in a better, healthier way. But
Right.
they get hung up on people in their life, how other people in their life might perceive those choices. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Like, so you cannot go down this path of beginning to like work out consistently and schedule like meal prep days and not drink and whatever. And that would make you look, live, and feel better and be happier. But like you're thinking about not doing those things because someone in your life might be like a little uncomfortable with it. Like
Right.
it's stupid. And again, a part of it, like, but the more, I don't know if it's the old age, experience, life, I don't know, but like, and I've never totally been like a follower, but I like rocking the boat, but it's like, I don't know. At some point, I think you just have to wake up and be like, I get one life. I get one life. And I don't want to spend it anymore making decisions based upon what I think other people are going to think or feel about me. As long as I'm being true to myself and coming from the heart and a good place and doing the best I can with what I know at the time,
Right.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. And it's okay to be on board with that. And it's okay to not be on board with that. I'm good with that too.
Boom.
Boom. Wrap that up. A nice little bow there.
Yeah. I mean, there was a point there where it's like, what's the freaking point? But I
I
mean,
landed the plane.
you landed the plane.
That's really what you should say. You understand? Like that should just be like the little trigger. Like if you feel like I'm just be like, Ashley, land the plane.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
I prefer get to the monkey.
I don't, no, that wouldn't translate as well. Land the plane.
Get to the monkey. If you've seen King Kong, you get it. Get to the
I,
monkey.
oh, I don't. And if I have, I don't remember. So there's that. All right. The big nug.
Just be you,
Be,
man.
be more of you. Be
Be
more of
all of
you.
you.
Grow you. Keep
Right.
seeking to become the next version of you, right? Always grow, learn, etc.
Right.
But like just be you, be authentically
Right.
you. Like you will gain more respect and appreciation and love in your life just by showing up and being the true version of you rather than because I'm not going to go into this, but I am just going to say, well,
I know.
one
Just go. Just go,
one
man. Don't justify
one
it.
of the one of the worst things is for people to lead you to believe that they are one person and then come to find out that's not actually who they were, right? So you're actually not doing people in your life any favors by pretending to be someone that you're not. You're not.
Right.
Because at some point it's going to come out with the wash.
Right.
So just like show up and be yourself from the beginning and you'll save yourself a lot of that kind of heartache down the road. So
Right.
anyways, hopefully you're
And
picking
that's
up
what
what
we're
I'm
here
putting
for, to
down.
help you avoid heartache.
It is. Gonna be a
No,
heartache
God dang
tonight.
it.
A
We almost
heartache
made it through an
tonight. I
episode
know.
without your singing.
I know, but we didn't. So love you
Hmm.
guys. Like, comment, share, reach out if we can help you in any sort of way, or you just want to chit chat through something. We are certainly here to do what we can and appreciate you listening and watching and sharing with others. And we will see you next week.
Totally will.